guys, this is Taylor and I'm here tonight, with my August wrap-up. It is once again the middle of the night, so I hope that this angle and this lighting is remotely okay. I didn't have an official TBR for August, but it went almost exactly as I had it planned in my brain. I had 5 books in mind that I wanted to read this month, 3 new releases, I wanted to reread Walden, and I had an advanced copy that I wanted to get to, and that's exactly what I read this month. And one of these books was really phenomenal. I highly recommend it, so let's get started. The first book I read in August was Before She Sleeps by Bina Shah. This was one of the new releases of August, and I have some complicated opinions about it. This is an adult dystopian set in a fictional city called Green City. A virus has taken out much of the female population, so the government has enacted laws that strongly encourage women to take multiple husbands and to procreate as much as humanly possible. Naturally, there are plenty of people who are just not down with this, and our main character is one of them. Instead, she's actually part of a non-sexual but still illegal bed-sharing service, basically because real emotional intimacy is something that is just almost non-existent in this society. So as I said, I'm pretty conflicted about this one. It's a hard one to really evaluate. Reading this, my entertainment levels were pretty high. It was a very enjoyable read, but I think there were a few things wrong with this, and I guess it was just really nothing special. Some plot points just happen way too easily, and even sometimes the protagonist is like, I don't even know how this happened, and it's like, clearly. And it's not that I actively hated the writing style as I was reading this, but then in contrast to the book that I read right after this, looking back on this, I realized that it really just lacked like subtlety and polish, and I guess those are my 2 main complaints. It did again really suck me in though, so I guess this is really a case of pros and cons. I gave this 4 stars on Goodreads. I might change it to 3, I'm really undecided. I probably should. But overall, I think it's safe to say that I liked this. The next book that I read in August was the one that I had the highest hopes for, and that was Severance by Ling Ma. This is a pandemic-induced apocalypse novel. So it's not really a dystopia, but it's a little similar. Basically, the vast majority of the world's population has been taken out by a virus called Shen fever. The fevered population are kind of like zombies, except that they don't harm anybody, they don't even acknowledge anybody. They just keep living out their lives, repeating daily tasks over and over again until they die. Our main character is one of seemingly just a handful of people in the world who are not affected by the virus, and this takes place in the present day and then has flashbacks to before and during the outbreak. Really, this was everything I hoped it would be and more. The writing style just clicked with me immediately. It's so lovely, and I believe that she's a debut author, and that makes me so happy because she has such a lovely natural voice. The flashback scenes in particular are so wistful and beautiful. They're a little bit slower than the ones taking place in the present day, but I think that suits the story really well. Also, this is actually a subtle commentary on so many things, and it's just so well done, and it's not in your face about anything. And naturally, almost more than anything else, this book is achingly sad. Oh my god. I just thought everything was so well done, just perfectly to my taste. I loved this. I gave it 5 stars, another 5-star this year, can you believe it? If this sounds up your alley, I absolutely think you should check it out. Ling Ma, I think, is my favorite debut voice that I've read so far this year. So kind of doing a U-turn here, but one of the 10 books that I wanted to read before the end of 2018 was Walden. This is technically a reread, but I read this first when I was 11 or 12 or something ridiculous like that. At the time, I basically ate this with a spoon. I loved it blindly. so I thought that it would be interesting to revisit it as an adult. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad that I decided to reassess this because I really didn't care for Walden at all. My basis for not liking this is that I honestly didn't really agree with any point that he was trying to make, which is wild because this was basically my doctrine when I was younger. So yeah, I did not agree with most of his ideas. It came off as pompous and privileged and racist. Oh my god, I did not pick up on that before. Obviously this was written in the 1800s and things were different, but either the ideas in this didn't age well, or I guess they were just too simplistic to really move me. I will say that I did think that the nature writing was pretty at times. I'll give it that. But otherwise, I gave this 2 stars. It was not a pleasant read for me, but it was informative, and I'm glad that I revisited it. The 4th book I read this month was the big release for 90% of the people I encountered this month. It was Vox by Christina Dolcher, and based only on the hype, this was the new release that I had the lowest expectations for, just because that's how things tend to work out for me and hype. This is a feminist dystopia that is set in the US in the near future, where women of any age, even newborns, are fitted with a bracelet that will administer an electric shock if you speak more than 100 words per day. Hence, women no longer work, and it's basically you get married and your husband has the income and you stay in the kitchen and make babies, and you definitely don't get to have an opinion about it. For me, this book was another case of pros and cons. I would say that its best quality is that it is effective. It is enraging. It made my blood boil. However, I thought that its effectiveness came at the cost of almost everything else. The style didn't work for me. I thought that the plot was pretty clumsy, and then it was very convenient at certain times. And actually in some of the action scenes, I had a hard time understanding the basics of what was going on, and maybe that was just me. Like, some of the action scenes would just build and build and then just be over, and I would look back and be like, I actually don't know how that got resolved. So this was a weird reading experience for me. I know a lot of people are really excited about this, and maybe it will be more to your taste. It's definitely very timely and very effective, and I will give it credit for that. But overall, I gave this one 3 stars. And the last book I read in August was The Ark. This is Family Trust by Kathy Wong, and I believe this comes out at the end of October. First and foremost, this is one of the most beautiful arcs I've ever seen, and I really hope that this lighting is doing it justice. And second of all, for the record, I technically haven't finished this yet. I'm about 30 pages or so from the end, and I can't really see my opinion on this changing based on how this wraps up exactly. So yeah, I'm struggling to come up with a synopsis here because really my main complaint is that there is no central plot, and the plots that are featured are just not interesting. Sorry. This is about a family of wealthy Chinese Americans living in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I guess it's kind of centers around their dying patriarch and his will and his assets and things like that. And obviously there are other plot lines. This is actually a multi-perspective novel. But yeah, no one's plot lines were interesting to me, and even when significant things happened, they didn't really feel significant. I guess it was just really flat for me. It did explore some semi-interesting ideas about obviously race in America and wealth and things like earning your place in the world, things like that, but I just feel like there are other novels that have done it so much better. As a whole, this just did not gel with me, and depending on how this wraps up, I think I'm either going to give it a 2 or 3 star. probably leaning towards a 2. So kind of a low ending, but I'm actually really satisfied with what I read this month. Obviously, Severance was the real winner for me this month, and I guess it really kind of elevated the whole outcome of August. And dystopias were really the thing for me this month, and yeah, it's really interesting that that's the type of thing that I'm gravitating toward right now. Anyway, let me know what you read in August. I'd definitely be interested to know, and I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!